কেবে সাথে কেবা ছায়া চড়াই মরুদয়া কেবে সাথে কেবা ছায়া নিরেখিবি তবা শ্রীচরণ নিরেখিবি তবা শ্রীচরণ आहे नव घन पुलकी उठिबा प्रणाम आहे नव घन पुलकी उठिबा प्रणाम जहि चाहि बनयन हिरिबा तव दर्शन जहि चाहि बनयन हिरिबा तव दर्शन लोडु नाही धन भाजन लोडु नाही धन भाजन मागुछि चरण धूली मथारे होई मो बोली मागुछि चरण धूली मथारे होई मो बोली पागल होइबि अनुदिन पागल होइबि अनुदिन आहे कृपामय मो बेळकु नहिब निर्दय आहे कृपामय मो बेळकु नहिब निर्दय तुमे पराधीन बंधु टोपिए करुणा बिंदु तुमे पराधीन बंधु टोपिए करुणा बिंदु ढाली देले हेबी मोआ भय ढाली देले हेबी मोआ भय आहे कृपामय मो बेळकु नहिब निर्दय आहे कृपामय मो बेळकु नहिब निर्दय तडरिपु मोते घिरी दियन्ति अथय करी तडरिपु मोते घिरी दियन्ति अथय करी मागुछि मो मने बळ दिया मागुछि मो मने बळ दिया दीपुंकु दूरकु ठेली तुम नाम बोली बोली दीपुंकु दूरकु ठेली तुम नाम बोली बोली पाइबि मो श्रीपदि आश्रय पाइबि मो श्रीपदि आश्रय आहे जगद्गुरु ताहा हुआ तुमे कल्पतरु आहे जगद्गुरु ताहा हुआ तुमे कल्पतरु अरूप स्वरूप तव नयनि मो नाचु देव অরূপ স্বরূপ তব নয়নে নাচু দেব গুরু দাস মন বাঞ্ছা পুরু গুরু দাস মন বাঞ্ছা পুরু আহে জগৎ গুরু তাহা হুয় তুমি কল্পতরু আহে জগৎ গুরু তাহা হুয় তুমি কল্পতরু আহে জগৎ গুরু তাহা হুয় তুমি কল্পতরু সুন্দর চির সুন্দর তুমি সুন্দর প্রিয় মোর সুন্দর চির সুন্দর তুমি সুন্দর প্রিয় মোর তুম গমন বাট মুয়ানি তুম গমন
বন্ধন মোচন পূজ্যবর গুণহীনম সগুণাধিপতি ভবভীরু জানে সত তম্বরদম প্রণমামি গুরু শিব কল্পতরু প্রণমামি গুরু শিব কল্পতরু।
জয় গুরু। হে বিশ্ব সংসার যার চরণে আসিত হে বিশ্ব সংসার যার চরণে আসিত আসিত ମାନଙ୍କ ଦେହୁ ବରା ଭୟ ସେହି ଶ୍ରୀ ଗୁରୁ ଚରଣ ଆସିତ ମାନଙ୍କ ଦେହୁ ବରା ଭୟ ସେହି ଶ୍ରୀ ଗୁରୁ ଚରଣ ବନ୍ଦନା କରୁଛୁ ଆମେ ଦୀନ ଭକ୍ତ ଗଣ ସେହି ଶ୍ରୀ ଗୁରୁ ଚରଣ ବନ୍ଦନା କରୁଛୁ ଆମେ ଦୀନ ଭକ୍ତ ଗଣ ସେହି ଶ୍ରୀ ଗୁରୁ ଚରଣ ପରମ ବ୍ରହ୍ମ ରୂପରେ ନିତ୍ୟ ବିରାଜିତ परम ब्रह्म रूपरे नित्य विराजित मन बुद्धि इंद्रियर जे अटे अतीत सेहि श्री गुरु चरण मन बुद्धि इंद्रियर जे अटे अतीत सेहि श्री गुरु चरण वंदना करुछु आमे दीन भक्त गण सेहि श्री गुरु चरण वंदना करुछु आमे दीन भक्त गण सेहि श्री गुरु चरण ज्ञान प्रेम घन राजे अटंती मूरति ज्ञान प्रेम घन राजे अटंती मूरति सद्गुरु रूपरे जीवे दियंती मुक्ति सेहि श्री गुरु चरण सद्गुरु रूपरे जीवे दियंती मुक्ति सेहि श्री गुरु चरण वंदना करुछु आमे दीन भक्त गण सेहि श्री गुरु चरण वंदना करुछु आमे दीन भक्त गण सेहि श्री गुरु चरण वंदना करुछु आमे दीन भक्त गण सेहि श्री गुरु चरण जय गुरु जय गुरु
जय गुरु Sadguru Swami Nigamananda Upadhyasramrita, page 130, Istanishta. God has innumerable names and forms. One may call him in any name and think him in any form, but all will ultimately attain the same state, since various names and forms aim at the same entity. There is absolutely no difference. His eternal formless entity is present behind all names and forms. So one may take any name and form for realization. For that reason, one may take shelter of any name and form which is palatable to him. There is no fixed principle that any particular name or form is only to be followed, but the only thing needed is strong sincerity and deep devotion for the name and form which one adheres to. Without total commitment and firm devotion, there will be no result in one vacillates between this name today and the name and that name tomorrow. So the first and foremost principle of Sanatana Dharma is Istanishta. One may comfortably meditate on human form of God. He has enacted human roles by taking birth in human forms. Therefore, the thought and meditation of his divine form and human form is equally fruitful. Again, if you like, you may think him in the form of a saint because he manifests himself in saints. The saintliness of a saint is nothing but the expression of his divine entity. But I tell you one thing: when you follow any great man, you never remain anchored to his external form and cover. It is the fitting homage to him if you sincerely follow the path he has shown and endeavor to realize the essence of truth he has preached to the world. Simply by worshipping his idol and offering incense, that is arati, offering a fire with devotion, sugar and banana, etc., thrice a day, it will bear no fruit. You will remain in the same darkness as before. On the whole, I tell you to pay more attention to inner sadhana than to the outward sadhana because it will accomplish the liberation of soul. See, nowadays people have become so embedded into mundane life that they never think of parakala, that is the life after death. They have even lost faith in existence of life out there hereafter. The lifespan of an individual may be 50, 60 or at best 100 years. Still then, one thinks that he has come to this world to live here forever and spreads the network of suppressing worldly activities to assert his superiority over the weak. He is also lost in ceaseless effort to amass wealth and worldly prosperity, resorting to lies and hypocrisies. But such people never realize that they have to one day forsake all the material possessions and go to an unknown kingdom empty-handed on leaving everything here. These things will lie in inexhaustible store of the true owner, that is God, as before. But in between, all the efforts based on ego to grab, everything will go in vain. In spite of noticing people dying in front of their eyes, some people think that they are the permanent dwellers here. What a surprise. So the thought of death is highly useful in the life of a spiritual practitioner. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Saraswata Sangha Puri, America Saraswata Sangha, 800th Sangha Puja Session Report. Date 2/6/2022, Sunday. Time 7:15 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. Eastern, first session. 9:45 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. Eastern, second session. Paliya Shriyam, Dhanlatama and Amritama. Adhivasa Puja 2/5/2022. Adhivasa Puja was held in Asana Mandira at 7 p.m. Eastern in presence of Bhais, Mas and aspirants. The session started with Sutra Vandana, followed by reading from the books Nigama-upadesa and about Bihari Mohan Sarma Bhai from the book Sri Thakura Mahatmya. Then after Vidya Prathana, the asana was closed with Jai Guru Namakirtana and Pranama. Present Ma and Bhai, link to the attendance sheet is available on ANSYS website. First session, 7:15 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. The morning session of the puja started at 7:15 a.m. with Pratikya. During Pratikya, Vittima sang Aso Chura Nakari Asare and Rasmi Chaudhary Ma sang Dure Bahu Dure Akhira Separe. During this time, all devotees join the puja either at MSN or via teleconference. Tanujit Bhai performed the Arati, then Smita Ma sang the Vandana, Vandai Guru Charana and Sutra Vandana. Braja Bhai read Parichay Patra, Coronavirus Relief Prayer, Samlani Prathana and Asana Mandira Nitya Seva Puja Prathana. Shivani Divyadima read Vandana, Prathana and Prathana Karinko Pati from Sangha Sevaka Volume 33, Part 3. During this time, Vidama sang the Prathana Sangita from Sangha Sevaka. Then Kalpanama recited Shloka 80 from Sri Guru Gita. Then Amritama invited Sri Thakur Maharaj for Balya Bhoko and Thakur Maharaj, Bhais, Mas and young aspirants for the second puja session. The first session concluded with Jai Guru Namakirtana and Pranam. Balya Dhupa was offered to Thakura, followed by Prasada Sevana by Bhais, Mas and youngest. Second session, 9:45 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. The second session of the puja commenced at 9:45 a.m. Eastern with Abahana. Leena Ma sang Antara Devata Asahe and Amrita Ma sang Eita Mohanavansi. This was followed by Pranama Gana and opening of the curtain. Then Shivani Mohantema sang Bandana Hemo Jivana Bandhu. This was followed by Parichaya Patra by Vanlatama. Pujama sang Vishwagati Pranama. Susmitama read Nigamupadesa from page 129 to 130 to Sadhaka daily spiritual practices. Following this, Subhasis Bhai read the minutes of the last Sangha Puja. Rasmi Pandama read Pancha Sanyasini Sisya from page 54 to 59. This was followed by Pratana Sangita Seimo Janakotami sung by Niluma. Ustama read from Samsara Pathe Part 1. This was followed by the question and answer session facilitated by Prajabhai. The young aspirant session commenced with Pratana Sangita Uttara Sagari Puri Chauthili sung by Aditi. Pratima conducted young aspirant sessions. This was followed by Bhabumanima by Sriyan, Amritama and Bonalitama. Then Bonalatama invited for Madhyana Bhoga and evening puja. Simran, Anjanama and Pallavima invited Rishi Thakura and Bhais, Mas and young aspirants for the second puja, for the next Sangha Puja session. Held on 2/13/22. Amritama prayed for forgiveness to Rishi Thakura, all Bhai, Ma and young aspirants for any mistake committed during Sangha Puja. This session was concluded with Vidaya Pratana sung by Arpitama and Asana was closed with Jai Guru Namakirtana and Pranama. Vishrit Bhai took attendance of those who present for the Sangha Puja. Then Madhyana Bhoga was offered to Sri Thakura, followed by Prasada Sevana. Sri Thakura Charana Srita, Sriyan, Bandhutama, Amritama. Jai.
जय गुरु आमे कंटिन्यू करिबा स्टेज 16 रु आचार्य प्रसंग परदिन प्रत्युत्तरे सज्जत्याग कली प्रातः कृत्यादि समापन करी साधु दुर्गानंद सहित बजार दीक्षार आवश्यक द्रव्यादि आनयन पई अपेक्षा करबाक लागिले। एही समय रे मु निर्जन रे थिली, मो निकटरे केही नथिले। जेउ घरे मो शयनर स्थान निर्दिष्ट होइतला सेही घरर बारंडारे मु थिया होई नाना विषय चिंता करूथिले। हठात शुणिया पाइली किए जेपरी मते कान कहूची तोर ए कौन है तू एठा कहीं आसिलु दीक्षा नहीं कौन हेब क्यों एक अज्ञात कुलशील सन्यासी तार शिष्य हो लाभ कौन से सदर दरजा खोला अच्छी आई तोर जिनिस पत्र अच्छी एआडे कहीं नहांती सीधा ए स्थान त्याग कर चली जा। मु अत्यंत विस्मय सहकारे अशरीरी बाणी शुणी किंकर्तव्य विमूढ़ हो गली। थरे दरजा आड़क थरे जिनिस पत्र आड़क अनाइली देखिली सहजरे चली जाई हेब आ कौन से गोड़ जोग रहिब नाही। किंतु ती आश्चर्य मुहूर्तक मध्य भीतरु आउ जणे गर्जन करी उठिला। से कहला केबे नुहे दीक्षा ग्रहण करी जदि नरकस्थ हेबाकु पड़े ताहा बरं भल किंतु कौन से प्रकार संकल्प भ्रष्ट होई पारिबो नाही। दीक्षा ग्रहण करिवाकु ही हेब जे उद्देश्य नहीं आसीच ता सफल करियाकु ही हेब। मंत्र साधना किंबा शरीर पतन यह ही तुम मूल मंत्र। यही बीर्यवान अशरीरी बाणी मोर सामयिक दुर्बलता तत्क्षणा दूरीभूत करदेला एवं चित्त स्थिर है। मायार कि अनिर्वचनीय खेल कर्तव्य विच्युत कर कि निष्ठुर प्रयास तार चित्तर यही अवस्था एहीपरि संदिक्षण ही मायार खेल जोग विघ्नकारी माया शक्तिर प्रभाव विस्तार लाभ करे। सत् को असत् करिबारे साधु को असाधु करिबारे कर्तव्य मुखीन को विमुख करिबारे माया शक्ति ही प्रधान। यह शैतान खेल दुष्ट सरस्वती चक्र सत्य विरुद्ध असत्यर अभियान। पुराण रे एपरी जोग विघ्न व्यापार रे बहु उदाहरण दुष्ट हुए। एपरिकी श्रीमती राधांकर जे अपार्थिव अप्राकृत कृष्ण प्रेम ତାହାର ବାଧା ସ୍ୱରୂପ ଜଟିଳା କୁଟିଳାଙ୍କର ଆବିର୍ଭାବ ହୋଇଅଛି। ଏହାର ଫଳ ଦୃଶ୍ୟତଃ ଯେତେ ମନ୍ଦ ହେଉନା କାହିଁକି ପରିଣାମରେ ମଧୁର। ଯେପରି ସ୍ରୋତସ୍ୱିନୀ ନଦୀ ବାଧାପ୍ରାପ୍ତ ହେଲେ ପ୍ରବଳ ବେଗରେ ବନ୍ଧ ଭାଙ୍ଗି ଉନ୍ମାଦ ଉଲ୍ଲାସରେ ସାଗର ସଙ୍ଗମକୁ ଛୁଟିଯାଏ, ସେହିପରି ଯାହା ପ୍ରାଣରେ ପ୍ରକୃତରେ ଭଗବତ ପ୍ରେମ ଲାଭର ଆକୁଳ ଆସନ ଜାଗି ଉଠେ, ତାହା କୌଣସି ବାଧା ବିଘ୍ନ ରୋଧ କରିପାରେ ନାହିଁ, ବରଂ ବାଧା ପାଇ ଆକୁଳତା ବଢିଯାଏ। ବାଧାର ବିପୁଳ ବନ୍ଧ ଭସାଇ ପ୍ରେମିକ ପ୍ରାଣର ପ୍ରେମ ପ୍ରବାହ ଆକୁଳ ଭାବରେ ଛୁଟି ଅକୁଳରେ ମିଶାଇ ନିଶ୍ଚିନ୍ତ ହୁଏ। ତାଙ୍କ କରୁଣାର ଭିକାରୀ ମୁଁ, ତାଙ୍କ ସ୍ନେହରେ କାଙ୍ଗାଳ ମୁଁ, ତାଙ୍କ ରୂପର ପାଗଳ ମୁଁ, ତାଙ୍କ ଆଶା ପଥ ଚାହିଁ ବସି ରହିଛି, କେବେ ତାଙ୍କ ଦୟା ହେବ। ଭିକାରୀର ତ କୌଣସି ଦାବି ନାହିଁ, ତାଙ୍କ ଅହେତୁକ କୃପା ପାଇଁ ନିର୍ବିରୋଧେ ବସି ରହିବା ହିଁ ଏକମାତ୍ର ସମ୍ବଳ। ଆଉ ତାଙ୍କ ନିକଟରେ ପ୍ରାଣ ଖୋଲି କାନ୍ଦିବା, ହାୟ ଆଜି ସେ ବିଧେୟୀ ହୋଇଛନ୍ତି। ଏହି ସୁଦୀର୍ଘ 25 ବର୍ଷ କାଳରୁ ଅଧିକ ତାଙ୍କ ଯୋଗ ଋଷିଗଣ ବାଞ୍ଛିତ ପବିତ୍ର ଓ ମଧୁର ସଙ୍ଗରୁ ବଞ୍ଚିତ ହୋଇଅଛି। ଆଶା ଓ ଭରସା ଏକମାତ୍ର ସେ, ସମ୍ବଳ ଏକମାତ୍ର ତାଙ୍କ ମଧୁର ଅଭୟ ବାଣୀ। ଯାହା ହେଉ ମୁଁ ତାଙ୍କର ଶରଣାଗତ, ତେଣୁ ମାୟାର ପ୍ରଭାବ ମୋତେ ଅଭିଭୂତ କରିପାରିଲା ନାହିଁ। ତାଙ୍କ କୃପାରୁ ମୋ ମନ ଦୃଢତର ହେଲା। କିଛିଦିନ ଯାବତ ମୋ ଭିତରେ ଦୁଇଟି ଶକ୍ତିକୁ କ୍ରିୟା କରିବାରେ ଦେଖୁଥିଲି। ଗୋଟିଏ ମୋତେ ମନ୍ତ୍ରଣା ଦେଇ ଅସତ୍ ପଥକୁ ନେଇ ଯିବାକୁ ଚାହେଁ ଏବଂ ଅପରଟି ସେଥିରେ ବାଧା ଦିଏ ଓ ସତ୍ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟରେ ଉତ୍ସାହିତ କରେ। ମୁଁ ଯେପରି ନିଜର ଅସ୍ତିତ୍ୱହୀନ ତାଙ୍କର ହାତର ଖେଳନା, ତାହା ଯାହା କରାନ୍ତି ତାହା ହିଁ କରେ, ଥରେ ଏ ଦିଗ ଥରେ ସେ ଦିଗ। ଏହିପରି ଦ୍ୱନ୍ଦ୍ୱ ଦେଖି ମୁଁ ଅନେକ ସମୟରେ ଆଶ୍ଚର୍ଯ୍ୟାନ୍ୱିତ ହୋଇ ଯାଉଥିଲି, କିଛି ବୁଝିପାରୁନଥିଲି। ଏହି ଆଶ୍ରମେ ଦୀକ୍ଷା ନେବା ପାଇଁ ମୋ ବ୍ୟାପାରରେ ବହୁବାର ଏହିପରି ହେବାର ଦେଖିଛି। ଯାହା ହେଉ କିଛି ସମୟ ପରେ କୁମାର ଚିଦାନନ୍ଦ ଆସି ମୋତେ ଦୀକ୍ଷା ପାଇଁ ଆବଶ୍ୟକ ଜିନିଷର ଗୋଟେ ଚିଠା ଦେଇଗଲେ ଏବଂ ଦୁର୍ଗାନନ୍ଦକୁ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ନେଇ ଏଗୁଡ଼ିକ ବଜାରରୁ ଆଣିବାକୁ କହିଲେ। ମୁଁ ଚିଠା ଅନୁଯାୟୀ ଜିନିଷ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ସଂଗ୍ରହ କଲି। ଅର୍ଥାଭାବ ଯୋଗୁଁ ମଙ୍ଗଳ ଘଟ ପାଇଁ ଗୋଟେ ମାଟି କଳସ ନେଇ ଆସିଲି। ଅନ୍ୟାନ୍ୟ ଜିନିଷ ମଧ୍ୟ ଯଥା ପୂଜା ଧୋତି, ଗୁରୁବରଣ ଯୋଡ଼ ଇତ୍ୟାଦି ଅତି ସାଧାରଣ ରକମର ଯାହା ମୋର ସାମର୍ଥ୍ୟ ତଦନୁଯାୟୀ ଆଣିଲି। ଇଚ୍ଛାନୁଯାୟୀ ଏବଂ ପସନ୍ଦ ଅନୁଯାୟୀ ଜିନିଷ ଆଣି ନ ପାରିବାରୁ ମନରେ ବଡ଼ ଦୁଃଖ ବୋଧ ହେଲା। ଉପାୟ କ'ଣ? ଅର୍ଥହୀନ। ଯାହା ଅବଶିଷ୍ଟ ରହିଲା ତାହା ଅତି ସାମାନ୍ୟ ଏବଂ ତାହା ଦ୍ୱାରା ମୋର ପ୍ରତ୍ୟାବର୍ତ୍ତନ ପଥରେ ସମସ୍ତ ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ କୁଳାଇବ କି ନାହିଁ ସନ୍ଦେହ। ବଜାରରୁ ଫେରିବାକୁ ବହୁ ବିଳମ୍ବ ହୋଇଗଲା। ଅତି ସନ୍ତର୍ପଣରେ ସ୍ନାନାଦି ସମାପନ କରି ପ୍ରଭୁଙ୍କ ଆଦେଶ ପାଇଁ ଉତ୍କଣ୍ଠିତ ଭାବରେ ଅପେକ୍ଷା କରିବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲେ। ବୁକୁ ଥୁରୁ ଥୁରୁ କରିବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲା। କେତେବେଳେ ସେହି ଶୁଭ ମୁହୂର୍ତ୍ତ ଉପସ୍ଥିତ ହେବ, କେତେବେଳେ ସେହି ଚିର ଅଭିପ୍ସିତ ସମୟ ଉପସ୍ଥିତ ହେବ, କେତେବେଳେ ତାଙ୍କ କୃପାର ପ୍ଳାବନ ଉପସ୍ଥିତ ହେବ, ଆଉ କ୍ଷୁଦ୍ର ସ୍ରୋତସ୍ୱତୀର ଜଳରାଶି ମହାସମୁଦ୍ରରେ ମିଶି ନିଜକୁ ହରାଇ ନଦୀ ଜୀବନର ସାର୍ଥକତା ସମ୍ପାଦନ କରିବି। ମୁଁ ବସି ବସି ନୀରବରେ ଭଗବାନଙ୍କ ନାମ ନେବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲି। କେତେବେଳେ ଠାକୁର ମୋତେ ଭିତରକୁ ତାଙ୍କ ନିକଟକୁ ଆହ୍ୱାନ କରିବେ, ଏହି ଆଶାରେ ବସି ସମୟ ଅତିବାହିତ କରିବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲି। ଜୟ ଗୁରୁ।
Joy Guru. I would try to do a rough translation in English for this one. Just to give a context, this is about Sri Mohan Das Gupta Bhai from Baguda. As you notice, the details more about how he went for his initiation and faced very different challenges which pulled him apart in different directions. One night, like just before the initiation night, he slept with all happy feelings and thinking about how it contrasts with his daily life, which had a lot of problems and it's all having day-to-day issues. But next day he wakes up and kind of was sitting there and waiting for Sri Durgananda to get all the needful for his initiation. And he was lonely, and in this period he hears he was just basically thinking about a lot of irrelevant and floating thoughts, right? When he hears somebody whispering, telling, "Hey, just leave this place. Okay, why are you getting initiated from an unknown sannyasi? What is the benefit?" Right? So, and that kind of kind of swayed him a little bit. He's looking at the door, just thinking about it at least, right? So, and at the same time, he hears again another voice, telling all the benefits of the initiation, right, and why he should do it, and that kind of enforces that feeling again, right? So I think he's trying to explain more like how Maya pulls us in different directions, and it's always the completely opposite direction that you will be pulled. If you are thinking good, you'll be pulled in a direction where you have to think bad, and those are the obstacles you'll face. And he gave examples of like how a river hits an obstacle and kind of still flows through, finds its way through and manages through it, right? So, and that's the direction you follow if you have a strong belief. And in this case, right, because of this blind trust that he has, his brain remained focused, and it kind of he remained on track for the initiation. Even though it's like every now and then he was being pulled in different directions. So finally, end of the day, like he finally figures out that, finally Chidananda Bhai comes and he gets all the list for the initiation, and he goes to the market with his limited budget. He tries to arrange for whatever he can get, not exactly to the specifications, but at least to the point, right? I think he thinks at least everything is there, and it kind of delayed him a little bit. However, and finally he finished all his rituals and sat down there with the thought of Thakura taking him, immersing him into him, and that wait is where it ended. So probably the next chapter will follow it. What happens after that? Sure.
Jai Guru. Vasana mohara natham karahe purana. Vasana mohara natham karahe purana. অনাথর নাথ তুমি অধম তারণ। অনাথর নাথ তুমি অধম তারণ। যেদিকে জীব আখি সেদিকে তোমাকু দেখি। যেদিকে জীব আখি সেদিকে তোমাকু দেখি। সার্থক করিবি মোর জনম জীবন। সার্থক করিবি মোর জনম জীবন। অনাথর নাথ তুমি অধম তারণ। প্রভু অনাথর নাথ তুমি অধম তারণ। চাহি নাহি ধন সুখ लोड़ा तुम प्रेम मुख प्रभु चाहि नहीं धन सुख लोड़ा तुम प्रेम मुख पाई तो भूली दुख आनंदे मगन पाई तो भूली दुख आनंदे मगन अनाथर नाथ तुमी अधम तारण अनाथर नाथ तुमी अधम तारण वासना मोहर नाथ कर हे पुराण वासना मोहर नाथ कर हे पुराण अनाथर नाथ तुमी अधम तारण अनाथर नाथ तुमी अधम तारण तुमे मोर धन मान तुमे गौरव ज्ञान तुमे मोर धन मान तुमे गौरव ज्ञान प्रभु तुमे मोर धन मान तुमे गौरव ज्ञान काया संगे छाया सम रही थी बिनिसी दिन काया संगे छाया सम रही थी बिनिसी दिन अनाथर नाथ तुमी अधम तारण अनाथर नाथ तुमी अधम तारण तुमे प्राण मोहि प्राणी तुमे मो हृदय स्वामी तुमे प्राण मोहि प्राणी तुमे मो हृदय स्वामी प्रभु तुमे प्राण मोहि प्राणी तुमे मो हृदय स्वामी तुमे प्राण मोहि प्राणी तुमे मो हृदय स्वामी तुम ज्ञानी मोहि ज्ञानी नाही किछि आउ ज्ञान तुम ज्ञानी मोहि ज्ञानी नाही किछि आउ ज्ञान तुम ज्ञानी मोहि ज्ञानी नाही किछि आउ ज्ञान अनाथर नाथ तुमी अधम तारण अनाथर नाथ तुमी अधम तारण तुमे सर्व सुखाधार शांति प्रद तुम गिर तुमे सर्व सुखाधार शांति प्रद तुम गिरा तुम भय चरण कमले दिय हे सान तुम भय चरण कमले दिय हे सान तुम भय चरण कमले हि दिय सान अनाथर नाथ तुमे अधम तारण अनाथर नाथ तुमे अधम तारण वासना मोहर नाथ कर हे पुराण वासना मोहर नाथ कर हे पुराण अनाथर नाथ तुमे अधम तारण थर नाथ तुमे अधम तारण वासना मोहर नाथ कर हे पुराण वासना मोहर नाथ कर हे पुराण अनाथर नाथ तुमे अधम तारण अनाथर नाथ तुमे अधम तारण वासना मोहर नाथ कर हे पुराण वासना मोहर नाथ कर हे पुराण अनाथर नाथ तुमे अधम तारण अनाथर नाथ तुमे अधम तारण जय गुरु 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 जय गुरु
Jai Guru, Samsara Pathe Part 1. Motherly feeling of householders. Many say that one does not get liberation if one does not have a son. Other than for achieving some noble goals, if one does not participate in procreation while having the capability, then one disregards God's instructions. However, if a fortunate young man is able to get connected with the ever-loving God before marriage and decides not to get married for the rest of his life, then there is no harm. Nevertheless, apart from the unmarried and young celibate, every householder can also be counted as brahmachari if he remains truthful and devoted to spiritual knowledge and not conjugate with his wife outside of specific period of menstrual cycle. Srimad Shankaracharya had said in his book Mani Ratnamala Kimatra Heyam Kanakancha Kanta, meaning the person looking for liberation must give up wealth and women. Sri Ramakrishna Deva had also said about giving up Kamini Kanchana, women and gold or wealth. However, one should not infer from these statements that women are disrespected in the spiritual world and are recommended to be kept at arm's distance. Giving up Kamini Kanchana, women and gold, means not being tempted by Kamini Kanchana. The original statement on Kamini Kanchana is from Srimad Shankaracharya. However, this statement is generally associated with Sri Ramakrishna. But Sri Ramakrishna had always been in the company of Kamini Kanchana. It has been stated in Puranas that says Durvasa visited the court of Indradeva to see dance performance of Urvasi. Additionally, Ray Ramananda had young women as his companions. Mukunda was surprised and uttered Hari Hari after noticing the decorated bed of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, but Pundarik lost his senses and fell from his bed when he heard Hari just once. Thereafter, Mukunda accepted him as his guru, spiritual master. Giving up means giving up the attraction. Getting motherly feelings for other women is difficult. You won't invoke such a feeling towards women just by uttering the word mother. If you consider yourself a child, then you will be able to establish the motherly feeling towards all women. Knowingly or unknowingly, inevitably, there will be attraction between man and women in any relationship. Even the righteous King Yudhishthir, who had conquered his senses, did not look at her mother Kunti while speaking to her, as Kunti had gotten the boon from sun god of having eternal youth. Yudhishthir feared looking at Kunti's face. Even the creator of Brahma was fascinated by the beauty of his own daughter. So that will not be a problem if you worship God in the image of mother. Do not think if you worship God as mother, Matrubhava, he will become female. He is the complete human. It is called Matrubhava if you are demanding from God like a child. So, those who worship God in the image of mother, they will never think of God's image as a young woman. God will appear in the form as he sees appropriate and as directed by feelings. If you can forget God as being male or female and try to call him as mother, then you will be established in the Matrubhava. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Jai Guru. Oh, that one maybe. Our discussion samaya. We have some kids at NSM. So all our mic system is all upside down now. So hopefully voice ଟା ଆସିଥିବ ଟିକେ discussion କରିବା ଆମର ଆଜି ଯୋଉ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନାକାରୀଙ୍କ ପ୍ରତି ପଢିଲେ ବେଶୀ ସମୟ ତ ପଢି ହେଲାନି so we'll go through some of them. ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିଛନ୍ତି discussion କରିବା ଯେ ଦିଟା ଜିନିଷ ଅଛି ଆତ୍ମୋନ୍ନତି ଆଉ ଜଗତ ଜୀବ ଜଗତର ସେବା ଦିଟା ଆମର ସାଧକମାନଙ୍କ କର୍ତ୍ତବ୍ୟ ହେବା ଦରକାର କହୁଛନ୍ତି ଆତ୍ମୋନ୍ନତି ନ ହେବା ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଯଦି ଆମେ ଜୀବ ଜଗତ ସେବା କରିବାକୁ ବାହାରି ଯିବା ତାହେଲେ ହିତରେ ବିପରୀତ ହେବ ତେଣୁ ଆତ୍ମୋନ୍ନତି ପଥରେ ଆଗ ମନ ଦେବା ଦରକାର ଆତ୍ମୋନ୍ନତି ହେଲେ ଜଗତର ମଙ୍ଗଳ ବି ହେଇଥାଏ ସେଥିରେ because when you develop yourself and you behave like ideal human being like Thakur has expected that influences the world so ଯଦି ଭାବିବା ଯେ କହିଛନ୍ତି ମରାତ୍ମା ସର୍ବଭୂତ ଆତ୍ମା ଇତ୍ୟାଦି ତାହେଲେ ଅନ୍ୟମାନଙ୍କର ସେବା ଇନଡାଇରେକ୍ଟଲି କରିହେବ ଆଉ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଯାଏ ଆତ୍ମାର ପ୍ରତିଷ୍ଠା ହେଇନି ସେତେବେଳେ ଯାଏ ଅନ୍ୟର କାହାର ହିତ କରିବାକୁ ଗଲେ ବିପରୀତ ହେଇଥାଏ କାରଣ ଅନ୍ୟର ହିତ କରିବାର ଆମର କୌଣସି ଅଧିକାର ନାହିଁ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନାକାରୀ ପତ୍ର ଦେଇନାହାନ୍ତି ଏଇ ଇଏରେ ଆମେ ଯାହା ଶିଖିଛେ ଆମର ସଂଘ ଠାରୁ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ବାଟ ହେଲା ଠାକୁର କହିଥିଲେ ଜୀବ ସେବାରେ ବି ଚିତ୍ତ ଶୁଦ୍ଧି ହୁଏ ସେଟା ଚିତ୍ତ ଶୁଦ୍ଧି ପାଇଁ କରାଯାଏ ଆମେ ଜଗତର ସେବା କରୁଛୁ ବୋଲି ଭାବି କରିବାନି ଆମ ନିଜର ଚିତ୍ତ ଶୁଦ୍ଧି ହେଉଛି ବୋଲି ବାହାର ସେବାଟା କରିବା ତେଣୁ ଇଟ୍ ଅଲ୍ କମ୍ସ ବ୍ୟାକ୍ ଟୁ ଆତ୍ମୋନ୍ନତି ପାଇଁ କାମ ଚିତ୍ତ ଶୁଦ୍ଧିଟା ବି କିଛି ନୁହଁ ସେ ଆତ୍ମ ଉନ୍ନତି ପାଇଁ କରାହେଉଛି ଚିତ୍ତ ଶୁଦ୍ଧି ଆଉ କିଛି ନୁହଁ ତାପରେ that is what our Sangha Sevaka was talking about ଟିକେ ଆଜି ଆମର ସଂସାର ପଥରେ ପଢିଲେ and then it is kind of a continuous theme ଆମର ଏ ବିଷୟରେ ଆମେ କେତେ ଥର ଡିସ୍କସନ କରିଛେ and I so happen to started reading ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ପ୍ରଥମ ବର୍ଷ ଆର୍ଯ୍ୟ ଦର୍ପଣ so found a couple of points I want to cover ଦି ଆଡୁ କଭର କରିବାକୁ ହବ ଗୋଟେ ହେଲା ଆମେ ବହୁତ ଥର ଡିସ୍କସନ କରିଛେ ଯେ ମନଟାକୁ କେମିତି ସ୍ଥିର କରିବ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଅର୍ଜୁନ ପଚାରୁଛନ୍ତି ଶ୍ରୀକୃଷ୍ଣଙ୍କ ଷଷ୍ଠ ଅଧ୍ୟାୟରେ मने बाहर दुष्कर मनटा हूँ वायु भाया कंट्रोल करने बड़ कष्ट कुआड़े कुआड़े फ्लो कर पड़े जाना ना तेणु भगवान कहते असंशय महाभाव मन दुर्निर्गह चलम अभ्यास न तो कंते वैराग्य च गृह्यते कहते दीटा जिनस हुए अभ्यास और वैराग्य। ठाकुर गोटे आर्टिकल लिखी प्रथम वर्ष आज दर्पण केते खंड पर्यंत कंटिन्यू करते से आर्टिकलटा है जोग तत्व। जोग तत्व से जिनसटा आनी जो अभ्यास और वैराग्य दीटा कथा कहले कृष्ण अभ्यासटा तो इजी बुझा से समय एका टाइम एका जगार इत्यादि इत्यादि करी रिपीट करेंगे बारंबार 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 रिपीट करी गले अभ्यास परिणत हुए। खाली अभ्यास हेनी वैराग्य दरकार ना। क्वेश्चन वुड बी से वैराग्यटा केमती फेर आसो। I'll try to finish the discussion in 2-3 minutes, then you'll have plenty of time for question and answers. आज बहुत टाइम थिला 20 मिनट मिलछि। से जो वैराग्यटा केमती आसीबो वैराग्यटार डेफिनेशन आमे जानिचे विराग ए सांसारिक जिनस प्रति अनुराग रहिबनी अनुराग न रहिबा ताहला विराग ताटा केमिति करिबा वुड बी ए क्वेश्चन। सेठी ठाकुर कोट करिसेंती जोग वासिष्ठरु वशिष्ठ देव रामचंद्र कहते जे हे राघव मुझे बेंगली ओडिया करने चेष्टा कर नॉट एज गुड एज ब्रज भाई बट आई ट्राई माय बेस्ट। हे राघव यही दारुण संसार जातना निवारण करने पाई शास्त्र आलोचना कर साधु संग कर इंद्रिय निग्रह कर एवं तपस्या द्वारा ज्ञान बुद्धि लाभ हेले शुभ बुद्धिर उदय हुआ उदय कर ज्ञान बुद्धि लाभ करी शुभ बुद्धिर उदय कर ताहा हेले वैराग्य उदय हम। तेणु 4-5टा जिनस कहले प्रथम जिनसटी है शास्त्र आलोचना करवा कौन सी ठाकुर बही सब पढ़ु कि अन्य कौन आमर अनंत शास्त्र अच्छी पढ़ु से पढ़ा संगे संगे साधु संग करेंगे। ठाकुर एक्सप्लेन कर साधु संग द्वारा कौन लाभ हुए साधु संग भी कौन बुझा दरकार। आम जेनेराली कहूचे संघ को आसीगले भाई मान सब समस्त साधु तेणु सांग साधु संग गला ट्रू किंतु जो मैंने साधु तांको संग कले कहीं उन्नति हुए तार एक्सप्लेनेशन ठाकुर दौरान जे साधु माने अनित्य बा वृथा विषय लिप्त हुअंती नहीं तेणु वृथा विषय से कहती नहीं तांको सांग हेले आमको से शिक्षा मिले। तेणु प्रथम साधु संग कले विषय प्रति वितृष्णा आसे कहीं से विषय कथा हुअंती नहीं आज आमर ये कामटा होगा से कम होगा पॉलिटिक्स आगला ताकला एगुड़ा किसी कहती नहीं तो ठाकुर कहती जी ठाकुर कथा कहते से ही साधु संग से ही साधु तांको संग कले आमको भी ठाकुर कथा कहूँ इच्छा हम। जदि अन्य कथा कहते गुरु भाई हेले भी से साधु जाए जाना मो मत तेणु आम जो समस्त देखा करुचे खाली ठाकुर कथा हवा से साधु संग जीव। साधु संग पर कहले कौन ना इंद्रिय निग्रह कर। इंद्रिय निग्रह कौन ना इंद्रिय मानकर जो स्वाभाविक वृत्ति से वृत्ति जदि तांकु टाणी आनिम दे आर गोइंग सम आपण जिह्वा गोटे इंद्रिय जीव तार काम है स्वादु जिनस गुड़ा खाइब क्या मिठा जिन भल लगे क्या खटा जिन भल लगे क्या राग जिन भल लगे क्या तेल मसला छणाछणी भल लगे क्या सब जाक जिन भल लगे राइट। तो जिह्वार कामटा आड़ को जीव जिनस देखिए मूवी देखिए सुपर बोल देखिए इत्यादि देन यू हैव टू ड्रैग इट बैक फ्रॉम इट से इंद्रिय निग्रह। इंद्रिय निग्रह कले कौन हुए आम जो स्वाभाविक प्रवृत्ति बाधा आसे बाधा आसिले अल्टीमेटली आमको वैराग्य उत्पन्न हवा कथा ता द्वारा वैराग्य उत्पन्न हुए। तापर कहले तपस्या तपस्या रे कौन हुए ना ताप सहिबार शक्ति तपस्या। ठाकुर ये तपस्या को टिके जेनरालाइज कर देइचंती साधन चतुष्टय संगे मिसई साधन चतुष्टय है विवेक वैराग्य सत्संपत्ति और मुमुक्षुत्व। से मुमुक्षुत्व नहले जदि मुक्ति पाइबा को आपनकर इच्छा नहीं जदि इंद्रिय जो जो विषय रे जड़ित होचंती से विषयटा जे आम पई भल नुहे से धारणा नहीं ताहले वैराग्य उत्पन्न होबनी। आपन जदि भल लगुच खाइबा को छाड़ियार कौन इच्छा नहीं आमर स्थिर कर उपाय आम 6टा जिन बहुत थर डिस्कसन कर। नंबर 1 टा है सात्विक आहार, सात्विक आहार, सात्विक चिंता, सद्गंध पाठ, साधु संग इत्यादि इत्यादि, गुरु आदेश ग्रहण, गुरु आदेश पालन, ये 6टा। तेणु तार नंबर 1 टा है सात्विक आहार। आम जो सात्विक आहार कले ना ताले आपनकर इंद्रिय निग्रह हबनी। इंद्रिय निग्रह ना हले आपनकर जो येटा कौन वैराग्य उत्पन्न हबनी। वैराग्य उत्पन्न ना हले ना मन स्थिर हम, ना जोगरे मन लगे, ना ठाकुर काम मन लगे, कौन से करी हबनी। तेणु दिस इज व्हाट आई लर्न फ्रॉम रीडिंग दैट वन चैप्टर। ठाकुर लिखिछन प्रिटी लॉन्ग चैप्टर ये विषय रे जोग तत्व बोली लिखिछन, किंतु तार प्रिलिमिनरी जिनस गुड़ाक आम समस्तंकर जानिबा दरकार। से discuss that. It रखिबा discussion. We got plenty of time. Any questions, anybody? जय गुरु।
जय गुरु भाई। भाई आत्मोन्नति हेला बोली केमी जानिबे?
कौन कहले?
आत्मोन्नति हेला बोली केमी जानिबे?
आत्म प्रति आत्मोन्नति हेला कि नहीं केमी जानिबे? एटा सिंपल। ए डेफिनेशन गुडा के हम देले ता धरु जानंतु जे आपनकर माने इंद्रिय निवृत्ति होची कि नहीं, राइट? आपण ठाकुर काम करिया को भल लागुची कि नहीं, नंबर 1। ता मनटा उत्फुल्ल रहउची कि नहीं, काम करि चालुचंती किंतु क्लांति आसुनी। काली जेमति पढुथिले हमर बिहार मोहन शर्मा को कथा, से चाकरी छाड़ी देले बोली ठाकुर गोटिए पद कहि देले जे कर्म छाड़ाटा तामसिकता, एति कहि ना किछि नहीं। किसी उपदेश देना, किसी डिरेक्शन देना, इंस्ट्रक्शन देना, जब से कहीदेले ये बुझीगले। तेणु तापर से विभिन्न प्रकार काम कर राति दिन 15 घंटा 20 घंटा काम कले भी अवसाद आसेनी। सी जो अवसाद आसवनी काम करके जानवे उन्नति होची। जो कथा शुणा सब इच्छा हम जानवे उन्नति होची। जो लोकों सांगे मिसवाक इच्छा हम तांकरी कथा शुणिक विभोर रहा चढ़ो जानवे उन्नति होची। जो मनटा संसार प्रति एत आसक्त हेनी, आपनकर वांट आउ नीड रहिबनी जे एटा को मोर दरकार, डेफिनेटली दरकार, समहाउ समहाउ आई एम गोइंग टू गेट दिस प्रमोशन, समहाउ समहाउ आई एम गोइंग टू गेट दिस बिग हाउस एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा। सेगुडा जो मन में आसबनी जानतु आपनकर उन्नति होची। एक्जाक्टली जाए तांको पाखे पहुँचले से पहुँचगला पर आप जानी पारे, किंतु उन्नति होची कि नहीं यदि कंपेयर करेंगे, आर यू गेटिंग अट्रैक्टेड टू worldly affairs or are you getting attracted to his affairs? Just you can evaluate that. It's very simple. And if you see you are getting more attracted towards him, tale unnati hochi. You are getting less attracted towards him, you are getting more indulged in various worldly activities, then unnati houni boli bhabibe.
भाई जो कहले कर्म छाड़ीबाटा तामसिकता कौन के बुझे रखना
भाई साउंड टा बढ़ाए क्या अधा वर्ड शुणा जाऊनी मत। हाँ कहतु भाई आउे क्यों कहले तामसिकता कथा। हाँ कहतु।
जय गुरु। हाँ मुझे कहती तामसिकता तो छाड़ीबा जो सॉरी कर्म छाड़ीबाटा जो तामसिकता टी कौन के बुझे मिलती।
हाँ ना काली आम पढ़ुलु बिहारी मोहन शर्मा लेखा श्री श्री ठाकुर महात्मा ताथे कौन है सम मानसिक वृत्ति आसी जहाँफल कि से चाकरी छाड़ी से जन संस्कृत टीचर थे चाकरी छाड़ी छाड़िया पूर्व ठाकुर अनुमति आने कथा ता भी करना छाड़ी तो देती ठाकुर को जनइले ठाकुर आगे जनइले कि कहना ठाकुर देखाला ठाकुर कहते जे से ट्रेन में बस ट्रेन छाड़ीदेव से समय कहते ये बिहारी तू जो कर्म छाड़ाटा तामसिकता तेणु तार येटा हूँ कौन सिंपल राजसिक वृत्तिटा है कर्म यू जस्ट कीप वर्किंग लॉट ऑफ वर्क ऑलवेज एक्टिव से माने राजसिक वृत्ति। तामसिक वृत्तिटा है अलसुआमी निद्रा तंद्रा सब कम छाड़ीदे कौन कर बस घर शोब कौन सका उठल पकाल खाईदेल शोई पड़ल खरा बेले जो उठ लगे भोक लगे जाए फिर खाद्य खाईदेल फिर शोई पड़ल दैट इज सेटा निद्रा तंद्रा जो आविर्भूत होगी सब रही सेटा तामसिक। तेणु ठाकुर तामसिक बोली हिंट देदेले सी बाहर की आसपर डिसाइड कर आई एम गोइंग टू वर्क देन ही स्टार्ट्स डूइंग ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ मैनुअल लेबर कहीं गोरु चरेवा ये करिया दिने जाइछन्ती गोरु चरेछन्ती पूरा 12 घंटा वर्षारे बण भितर रही गोरु चरेछन्ती फेरिक आछन्ती कीर्तन रे जाई जोग दैछन्ती राति 12टा जाए so he spends 12-16 hours working and तांकर किछ अवसाद आसुनी से जाउछन्ती मठको मठरे सन्यासी मानक संगे मिसुछन्ती and then ताधरे भी देखुछन्ती जे से माने एते कर्म करूछन्ती तांकर केबे अवसाद आसुनी चिदानंद महाराज तो सब बेले टिके परिश्रम काम पड़ले से कहियो मु देह नुहे कहि चलथिबे तब काम चलथिबो इट नेवर स्टॉप्स नेवर 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 एवर स्टॉप्स आ गोटे कथा सेठी से कहले सेटा भी गोटे प्रासंगिक क्वेश्चन संगे सेटा दिने कौन है सकाल जाकि नलिता बिड़ा काचिकी झोट बाहर करती नलिता बिड़ा से अच्छी पानी बुड़िकी जाऊँगी काचिकी बाहर करते कहीं ना आउ गोटे 2 दिन रहीगले काले सड़ीज काटलू जाकि चिदानंद महाराज पहुंच जाऊँगी कहले बिहारी दादा ये कौन कर ना काचुची पूरा ना आज पूरा दशहरा आज तो आम उत्सव दिन ठाकुर कहते सेठी जाकि फूल गुंथुन से सब कम करवा ये कम कहीं करवा ना ये कमटा न कले तो ठाकुर ललिताटा ना सी जी पचिज कालिकी फिर असुविधा हे से कहले आमे कर्म करू कर्म कर्म जो आमे कर्म करूना समथिंग लाइक दैट कहते तांकर नलिता बिड़ा जदि काली जाए रहिले पचिज पचिगले पचि जाऊ आमको ठाकुर जहाँ कहते आम से करूँ आम कर्म कर्म आम नुह राइट हाँ भाई कहतु ब्रज भाई हाँ आम कर्म कर्म आम नुह आधुर एति बुझे बिहार दादा भी कहते जे आमे जो गृही गुड़ाक जो मानकर से वैराग्यटा आसेनी से माने कौन करेंगे दे विल ऑलवेज इवैल्यूएट इन टर्म्स ऑफ डॉलर्स एंड सेंस जे आई एम कन्वर्टिंग टू यूएस स्पीक कहे एठी जदि झोटटा सड़ीगला ताले हमर टंका लॉस हो ठाकुर टंका लॉस हो ठाकुर तो टंका लॉस है ना ये जो मैंने वैराग्य मार्गे वैराग्य हो गले तांको मन में सेगुड़ाक सब आसबनी तांको मन में खाली आसब ठाकुर कहते आज उत्सव फूल गुंथिया कथा आम फूल गुंथबू काली उत्सव सरीगला कहले जाकि नलिता बिड़ा काचे झोट बाहर कर आम जाए झोट बाहर करूँ ठाकुर जहाँ आम से करूँ तेणु ताधे आमर आम कर्म कर्म आम नुह दैट्स वेरी मुझे भूलीगली काली पड़ी आज सकाल भूलीगली जाए ये आमर सार्थक भाई ब्रज भाई डिड मत उद्धार करदे जय गुरु बट इट्स अ रियली गुड लर्निंग फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस जय गुरु एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस तेणु वैराग्यटा जदि न आसब ताहले आध्यात्मिक उन्नति बनी जिते जाए आम वी गेट अट्रैक्टेड टू वर्ल्डली थिंग्स हेनी से वर्ल्डली थिंग्स रु यहाँ मु जो उपायटा बर्तमान ठाकुर बही पढ़ी कहली सेटा है मोस्टली ज्ञान मार्गी विश्लेषण करी आम पहुँचुचे या कर स्टेप 1 स्टेप 2 स्टेप 3 स्टेप 4 इत्यादि इत्यादि तार भक्ति मार्गिया उपाय भी अच्छी तार गोटे खाली शॉर्ट डिस्क्रिप्शन दूचे जदि आमे सबू काम ठाकुरंकर काम बोली भाविबा सेवा बोली भाविबा ता द्वारा धीरे धीरे ये जिनसटा चली जाए जदि आमर किसी गोटे जिनस किनिया पई आहरण करिया पई इच्छा होची सेटा यदि ठाकुर काम लगे दबा ठाकुर दे दबा ता धीरे 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 से लोभटा चली जाए यही हिसाब रे भक्ति मार्गटा जिनस होला जुडो टाइप रो स्टाइल से फोर्सटा तुम आड़ को आसीबो यू जस्ट रीडायरेक्टेड यू डोंट स्टॉप इट because that force is so powerful it is going to take you over you don't have a choice you don't have enough strength to stand up to it so what do you just redirect it to somewhere else जोटा हला भक्ति मार्ग रो very basic philosophy तेणु जो जिनसटारे आपनकर बेसी अट्रैक्शन होची ताकू जदी ठाकुर आड़ पठे देले से धीरे 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 से लोभटा कमी जो तो लोभर अपोजिट होची दान दान करदेले सेटा पळेइबो आमर जो नंबर 1 जो आसक्तिर मूल कारण हला कामना कामना करिबनी कहचंती कामना कौन करियो ना ठाकुर को सेवा करी से कामनाटा रहा दरकार आउ किसी कामना रही मो पुओटा डाक्तर हवा दरकार मोर किए पुओ तो तांकर सी यदि डाक्तर करेंगे से करेंगे मोर क्षेत्र कौन कर यही चिंताधारा यदि मन में धीरे धीरे आसो मे नॉट हैपन इन वन डे मे नॉट हैपन इन अ ईयर और 10 years or 20 years जमती कौन से हिंदी मूवी गोटे नहीं लगे रहो मुन्ना भाई लगे रहो लगे रहो लगे रहो से दिने ना दिने प्रकृति स्तमित हम आमको रियलाइज करवा दरकार जे आमे वी आर समथिंग मोर देन दैट डिवाइन एंड वी आर नॉट दिस से धारणा यदि आसीज डेफिनेटली उन्नति हम लक्ष्य रखिए 2 मिनट रहा एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस
भाई से जो आत्मोन्नति कथा कहते से जो आमर जोटा अच्छी द्वादश अध्याय जो सब जिनस गुड़ाक मान जो श्लोक गुड़ाक अच्छी किए सब भगवान प्रिय से गुड़ाक भी तो अनुशीलन करवाटा भी से भी जना पड़ो जे आत्मोन्नति होची ना नहीं ना
आज्ञा आज्ञा सेटा भी जदि अप्लाई करेंगे अद्वेष्टांग सर्वभूतेषु करुण एवच निर्मम निरहंकार सम दुख सुख क्षमी आरंभ करते गोटे गोटे वर्ड गोटे श्लोक आपको 10टा जिनस मिल गोटे गोटे इभालुएट करके देखंतु कहा प्रति आपन द्वेष आछे कि नहीं
माने आपन से जो कहूले मुझे जो आत्मोन्नति सेटा भी जदि देखिबा जे सेटा भी हेई पारुची बोली कि जानबा जे आत्मोन्नति होची बोली जानि परिबा
आराम से
माने जो अछि तुल्य निंदा स्तुतिर मौनी और संतुष्ट जेन के
सतसंग योगी जतात्मा दृढ़ निश्चय अजर्पित मनोबुद्धि जो मत भक्त समय प्रिय इत्यादि इत्यादि से ताधरे भी से जो अछि हमर 8टी श्लोक अछि 13 रु 20 भक्ति जगत द्वादश अध्याय एवरी वन ऑफ देम यू रीड you will find भक्त मानकर गुण कौन कौ भक्त तांकर प्रिय कौ भलिया लोक तांकर प्रिय यदि से भलिया लोक हो गले आपनकर ये जो अटैचमेंट गुडाक किंबा जो रहुची हमर वैराग्य अवैराग्य भाव धीरे धीरे पळेबो ता पूर्वरु देइचंती द्वादश अध्याय जे कर्म अर्पण कर्म फलटा तांको समर्पण करदेले यही टाइप भावटा आसे तापर भाव गुड़ाक भक्तर स्वभावटा वर्णना कर सो सीटा सब बेसिक ये जिनस एनीवे आमर समय हो गलानी आमे जिबा यंग एस्पिरेंट्स प्रोग्राम को आनिक अच्छी आज प्रार्थना संगीत आनिक वन यू आर रेडी जय गुरु
Jaguru.
Jaguru young aspirants, this is Shreya, and I'll be conducting our YA session today. I hope everyone is doing well and looking forward to it. I will start first by taking attendance, then Anhik will share the meaning of the song he just sang. But while we're taking attendance, please go ahead and have today's story in front of you for our discussion. With that, I'll start our attendance. Aditi?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Adyasa? Aishi?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Anik?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Ansh?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Anshul?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Arnav?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Arun? Arush? Aryan? Chemu?
Jai Guru.
Divyam? Timmy?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Eva? Jagrat?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Naitik?
Ahmad.
Jai Guru ma'am.
Jai Guru. Atyusha?
Jai Guru ma.
Jai Guru. Pratyush?
Jai Guru ma.
Jai Guru. Sanvi?
Jai Guru ma.
Jai Guru. Saraswat?
Jai Guru ma'am.
Jai Guru. Sarthak?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Bhaktima?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Bobby?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Shilpi?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Shreyasi?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Shriyant?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Simran?
Teacher ma.
Jai Guru. Shrija?
Teacher ma.
Jai Guru. Suhani?
Jai Guru ma.
Jai Guru. Yukta?
Jai Guru ma.
Jai Guru. Is there anyone I missed? Okay. In that case, I'll ask Anik to go ahead and share the meaning of the song.
Jai Guru. The meaning of the song is that your lotus feet is more than heaven to me. It doesn't matter if I don't get anything from you. All that I want is to serve you. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Thank you, Anik. Very beautifully said. So for our discussion today, we'll spend some time talking about some of the directives that Thakura has given us and how many of those are practices we can and should actually practice even outside of the Sangha and ashram. We will talk about how these practices give us skills that can serve us well in school and in other activities like in college, at home, and at work. And it's important that we find ways to take Thakura's teachings and constantly apply them in our daily lives because they're not just meant to support us in our spiritual journeys, but also as ideal householders in the society. So when we talk about things like performing sadhana or meditating, we must remember that this is not supposed to just be used for spiritual reasons. In fact, there's something within those practices that can help us tremendously in reaching other goals that we're trying to reach. So with that, let's read about some of Thakura's directives in an excerpt from Chapter 10 of Kids Nigamananda. I have asked Aditi to read this today, so Aditi, please go ahead when you're ready.
Jai Guru, excerpt from Kids Nigamananda, Chapter 10. Swami Nigamananda had chosen to live privately in Nirachara Kutir, Puri, detached from the day-to-day affairs of his mata and ashrams. However, he could not keep himself unnoticed for long, just as the sun cannot hide behind the clouds forever. Slowly, a number of truth seekers, including some high schoolers, discovered him and became his devotees. They visited Swami Nigamananda at Nirachara Kutir almost on a daily basis. On the 24th of August, 1934, upon receiving a divine urge, Swami Nigamananda founded an association for his devotees and disciples of Odisha and named it as Nirachara Saraswata Sangha. It was an auspicious day of Jhurana Purnima, the full moon day of the month of Shravan, and his birthday. Some of the above-mentioned devotees gathered in Nirachara Kutir to celebrate his birthday and tendered their homage by worshipping and offering him prayers. Since they didn't know the process and sequence of the prayers, a lot of mistakes were made. Observing the mistakes, Swami Nigamananda told them, "I want to tell you a few things. After leaving Matha and ashrams, I have been resting here in solitude for the last 10 years. Then you all came and gradually your number increased. Observing this, today I have a divine inspiration. Take this as my directive. All of you must try to lead a disciplined and idealistic life. Shun childness, and if you want to take shelter in me, try to live by my ideals wholeheartedly." He further advised his devotees that day, "If anyone wants to deliver a lecture or act in a play, he first needs to rehearse. You, in order to perform the rehearsal, keep the Vigraha of your Guru in your house. Worship the Vigraha according to your local traditions. Offer prayers and try to comprehend the meaning of those prayers. All of you should gather at a place on a specific day in a week to offer arati, offer prayer, and read Arya Darpan before the Vigraha of Sri Gurudev. There you should discuss my teachings. At the end of the discussions, the devotee who wants to host the next session should invite everyone to his house. It may be difficult to host a weekly session in everyone's house till every one of you becomes financially independent. In that case, one of you who has the facility can host the sessions. Set up a fund for the service of the poor and destitute. Each of you must make some contributions, knowing well that the poor and destitute are God incarnate. Such action will purify your mind. Meditation, chanting, and prayers are not the only ways to purify your mind. Service to living beings also achieves. It may be convenient to conduct the spiritual sessions on Sundays. At that time, you must carry out spiritual discussions only. There are different organizations for different purposes. Some organizations aim at political gains, some try for social renovation. Your organization goal is to attain spiritual advancement. In this manner, you have to establish the power of unity. Furthermore, you attend the spiritual sessions of nearby sanghas and also attend samanis in order to gain inspirations for this union. My second directive is that you lead an ideal household life. My household devotees are spiritually more developed than others. When you lead a spiritual life, your children will also follow you to become a noble character. Then the great saints like Vasya, Vasishtha, Jaimini, and Patanjali will be born in your family. Hence, you should lead a household life. My third directive is that you share your spiritual experiences with each other. No devotee should keep anything secret from others. Always live a simple and truthful life. From the directives above, it is clear that Swami Nigamananda formed this organization with divine inspiration. He also organized the Nirachara Saraswata Sangha differently than that of his other matha and ashrams. He registered a trust deed in 1930 for the smooth functioning of the matha and ashrams. However, he did not include Nirachara Saraswata Sangha as a part of Saraswata Matha. Upon foundation of the Sangha, he became its founding president, which he had not done with any other organization he had established. As evidenced in the 7th issue of 18th year of Arya Darpan, Sri Banamali Das upon the directive of the founder president of Nirachara Saraswata Sangha, Sri Sri Thakura asked all the devotees from the state of Orissa to send their names and address to him for the purposes of uniting them under the banners of Nirachara Saraswata Sangha. The members of Nirachara Saraswata Sangha follow those three directives of Swami Nigamananda. In the process, they accept Swami Nigamananda as their only guru and ishta. In doing so, the members accept their guru as the means as well as the end of the God realization, contrary to the prevailing belief of guru being the means to the end of God realization. This is a concept that Swami Nigamananda introduced at the later part of his physical presence. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru, thank you, Aditi, for reading. With that, we can go ahead and start our discussion. And first, I wanted us to start by considering that closer to the beginning, Thakur had suggested that what we should do before we deliver a lecture or act in a play. And I'm curious, Arnav, what did Thakur suggest we should do before we do those things?
Jai Guru, Thakura suggested that we should rehearse before we did anything like that. Jai Guru.
Yeah, absolutely. He said we should rehearse. We should practice before we print. And why do you think he has said we should rehearse? Sanvi, why do you think it's so important that we should rehearse before we do these things?
Jai Guru, we have Sakura as like a vigraha in our head.
Yep. And what else do you think rehearsing, Sanvi, helps us not do?
Jai Guru, it helps us not to have the fear.
Yeah, absolutely. He said we should rehearse before practicing beforehand because not only do we have less fear, we feel less nervous, but it also minimizes any mistakes that we make. And also when we rehearse, that ensures that we put our best effort into whatever we are presenting because we took the time to appropriately prepare. So, Timmy, what are some other things that we do in our day-to-day lives that we should also rehearse for? Timmy? Or how about Saraswat? What are some other things we do in our day-to-day lives that we should also rehearse for?
Well, you could I guess you could research for a test. Well, that might kind of be stretching the definition. Sure.
Yeah, tests are a big thing we should rehearse for, whether that means preparing or asking ourselves to solve some questions that might be similar to what's on the test. We might give speeches or presentations at school. Maybe we are performing in a play or a musical, or maybe we have a big game that we should also practice and rehearse for. That way, again, we put in our best effort. And Simran, how do you feel when you present something that you properly prepared for?
We can feel confident.
Absolutely. We feel much, much more confident. We feel less nervous like we talked about earlier because when we prepare for something, we feel more comfortable with what we'll say or perform. And this makes sure that that presentation goes more smoothly. Absolutely. Confidence is really important. And then also, Shreyasi, what does Thakura say we should do when we offer prayers? Should we just recite what we remember or should we try to understand the meaning?
We should try to understand the meanings, Jai Guru.
Yep, absolutely. And Suhani, why do you think it's important to understand the meaning?
Jai Guru, because then we can know exactly what we're saying, and then we can So then we can really understand, so we can really like listen to what we're saying and apply it in real life.
Yeah, Suhani, absolutely. I like how you said that. It's important to understand the meaning so that we pray with intention and devotion, and this will help us feel more connected to Thakura while we pray to him, and the more connected we feel, the more we'll want to come back and pray again and not miss a chance to express our faith. Yukta, what happens when we recite prayers without understanding their meaning?
Jaguru, when you recite prayers and you don't understand it, you don't truly understand like the meaning behind the prayer, and it doesn't help you connect to Thakura more. So that's why you have to comprehend it first to understand it, and then you say it out loud. Jaguru.
Jaguru, you say yes, 100%. When we recite prayers without understanding their meaning, we might lose our focus and forget our intention while praying. This makes us less likely, just like Yukta said, to connect to Thakura while praying. Where else might it be important to understand the meaning for what we learn and why we do something? Aishi, where else might it be important to understand the meaning for why we do something?
Could you repeat the question real quick?
We were talking about how Thakura said that when we offer prayers, we should try to understand the meaning. So I'm curious, where else outside of doing puja and praying, and where else might it be important to understand the meaning for why we do something?
You could understand the meaning of what in school you could understand the meaning of what your like teacher is talking about, because if you're taking the test and you didn't understand what she said, you could be like getting wrong answers. Jaguru?
Yes, absolutely. It's very important in school to make sure we understand why we're learning something, when to use certain methods over others. That way when we come across harder questions, we know how to problem solve. Naitik, can you think of anything else where it might be important to understand the meaning for why we do something?
If you're doing like a spelling bee, you're like trying to spell a word, you might want to know the definition of the word and like how it's used. True.
Yes, absolutely. Even in spelling too, it's really important to understand the meaning behind words or why we use certain spellings over others for certain words. Absolutely. And the same can be said for anything, whether it's learning a new technique in a sport or while playing an instrument. Understanding why we do something helps us understand its importance in different situations. And Thakura has also said that his devotees should gather periodically and offer their prayers. Why do you think he suggested we gather and pray together? Pratyusha, why do you think he wanted us to gather and pray together?
I think that he said that because he wanted us to share our ideas with each other and see what we think about and share our knowledge on Thakura with each other.
Yep, absolutely. He wanted us to share our experiences with each other, learn from each other. Anik, what do you think? Why do you think it's important that we gather and pray together?
So that we can help each other and that we can learn from each other.
Yeah, like both of you said, we discussed this a few weeks ago in the YA session where we talked about how Thakura asked us to form a Sangha. Many of you said it then, but he suggested that we should pray together within a Sangha so that we can learn from each other and share our progress in a way that we would not be able to if we embarked on spirituality alone. There is a lot of learning we can do when we're talking to others about what they're doing versus just going about something all by ourselves. So with that, what are some other examples where doing things together helps more than doing them alone? How about Shrija? What are some other examples where doing things together helps more?
Teamwork can make a dream work. So if we work together, then we can achieve a goal of Takara. Like that, like a goal we set for ourselves that we want to achieve to make a good society. Jaker.
Jaguru, yeah, absolutely. I like the quote you shared, teamwork makes the dream work. Absolutely. There are so many things we might want to achieve in our lives that it might sound really daunting to do just by yourself, or sometimes you don't have the skills or the knowledge to do it by yourself. So when you work together, there's a lot more that you can achieve. There's a lot more that you think will be doable just because you have the support and the knowledge of people around you. Absolutely. And how about Pratyush? What are some other examples that you can think of where doing things together helps?
Jaigu, other examples of doing things with other people are like just basically normal, maybe schoolwork. Like you're doing a project together, you can share information and find things that other people couldn't find. Jaigu.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Pratyush. Ansh, any other examples you can think of where doing things together helps a lot?
Jacob, so I think like in your class, if you have something like a seminar, you could learn about everyone else's opinions, and then just also change your opinion about things. And then adding on to what Pratyush said, you could like a science project if you could use other people's skill sets, and also like double check each other's works in order to make the project better. Jacob?
Mm-hmm. Yes, great examples. Thank you for sharing. Absolutely, all of what you all have said. In school or college, we learn as part of a class, and sometimes in class, we also do group projects or group activities that help us learn from others. And then at work, we're generally in part of a team that works together to achieve a task or goal. It's helpful to be in a group because not everyone has the same skills. So forming a group allows people to contribute in different ways and then overcome challenges together. Also, each of us is a part of a family. We start each day together and come home to the same family every day and grow through life together. In doing so, we learn so many things together that then may help us, again, create additional families in the future. Life is not meant to be done alone, and we see that both at home and outside of our home. And then also, Takura has said for us to gather on a specific day of the week. What day of the week do we have our Sangha Puja and YA session? Jagrath, what day of the week do we have our Sangha Puja and YA session? Sunday, yes. Our Sangha Puja and YA sessions are on Sunday, absolutely. And why do you think it's important to designate a specific day of the week to pray together? Let's hear from Aditi. Why do you think it's important to designate a specific day of the week to pray together?
I think it's important to have a specific day so that people can like set aside some time for that one day, because if it switches every week, then sometimes people won't know what day it is and then they might not have time to do puja. Guru?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Aditi. When we have something on a specific day, like for instance, we have a specific day on which we pray together, so it becomes a part of our routine. We know that Sunday mornings we spend time with each other and with Takura to advance in our spiritual journeys. And since we've been doing this for so long, it's almost become like a habit, something that we don't forget. what are some examples of other activities that we may be participating in on specific days of the week? Naitik, what are some activities that you participate in that are on specific days of the week?
Like I did a musical which was specifically on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and then like there are a lot of things that I haven't done yet, but they're scheduled for a specific day, so like people can remember what days they're on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Naitik. Can you also, when you knew that you had your musical practice on Wednesdays and Sundays, was it helpful for them to be on specific days, or how do you think it would have been if they were just on random days of the week?
Like if they were on random days of the week, Jagu, I would like forget like what day they were on, and then I wouldn't go there, so I would like forget, so I wouldn't do the musical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that you might forget. It might be harder to make time for that because you have so many things going on. So it's harder to plan when they're on different days. Absolutely. How about Arnav? What are some other examples of activities that we might be participating in that are on specific days of the week?
Jai Guru, like maybe like for sports practices, like if they're like on a specific day, then you'll be able to like set some time off so that for like the thing, and then you can also just do your work beforehand so that then you'll have everything done. Jai Guru?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So really anything. We might have school clubs or activities or other practices or even music lessons that happen on a specific day of the week. And sometimes certain school classes even happen on specific days. At work, there might also be team meetings on certain days. So when we have something on a certain day of the week, it's really helpful to know that activity is approaching so that we have designated time set aside on that day, and we make sure we get everything else done so that we can dedicate time to working on whatever that thing is. So it really helps with organization. It helps with becoming a part of our routine, and it makes it easier for us to set time aside to work towards those goals or whatever it is that we're working on. And then also Takura talks about helping the poor. Why is it important for us to help others in our society? Simran, why is it important to help others?
It is important to help like others. Like an example, like if somebody's like left alone or they're like poor, like you should like help them. Because like you should like treat them how you should be treated.
Yes, absolutely. You brought up a really important point, to treat other people the way we would want to be treated. Takura says something really important in his advice. He said we should serve people considering them something. Jimmy, do you remember what he said?
He said, for the poor, help them when they like need, like if you want to be treated, like you should help them so they can like live like we live, but like it is a good thing to do, and it will help us in the future. Right?
Yes, absolutely. With that, Jimmy, I think someone else might have left their line on, hasn't muted. If everyone could mute, that would be really helpful. But yes, Jimmy, exactly. Serving others helping them in a way that you would want to be helped is always really helpful. And more specifically, Thakur has said that we should consider everyone as God incarnate. And we talked a lot about this. We had a session on Swarup and understanding your true self. And so it's important to help others because everyone's purpose on this earth is to serve in some capacity. We are all God incarnate and must always remember that because that if we believe we have faith in God and love Him, that should also be displayed by serving those around us because Thakur resides in everyone. So outside of the Sangha, where else are we encouraged to serve or contribute money to charitable causes? Yukta, where else are we encouraged to serve or contribute money to charity? I also realize that we are at time, so I think with that last question, everywhere, a lot of different things we are a part of, we're encouraged to give back in some form. So with that, I hope our discussion today served as a reminder that everything we learn from Thakuran within our YA sessions is meant to help us beyond our spiritual journeys. The more we practice some of these things, the more we can succeed in all areas of life. And so spirituality and our general livelihoods are much more connected than we might think. So that concludes our discussion today. I beg for forgiveness for any mistakes I might have made. Simran has Bari and Pablo Binimaya Seva. And Simran, when you're ready, please go ahead. Jai Guru.
Okay. I am so glad that today is my Sangha Puja party because this week Friday was my birthday. In this new year, one of my resolutions is to visit an orphanage and help them as much as possible. So on last Friday on my birthday, my papa sponsored a dinner party at one of the orphanages in Bhubaneswar where hundreds of kids are there. So they all send their best wishes to me. Next time I will go to Bhubaneswar and I will meet them. Last year we moved to a new home, so I joined a new school and made so many new friends. I also wanted to go to NSM, but due to COVID situation, we could not go to ceremonies for the last 2 years. I pray to Thakur to make the situation better so that we all Lions can meet in person during ceremony at NSM and can do Thakur Seva. Take care.
जय गुरु प्राणाराध्य श्री ठाकुर महाराज भक्त भाई माँ पिला मैंने आज मोर भाव विनिमय सेवा अच्छी कहीं मत भाव विनिमय थोड़े बहुत डर लगे तथा भाव लगे मुझे किसी बहुत भावित लगे मुझे किसी कही पारे ठाकुर डाक साहस कर कहे मो जीवन में ठाकुर कृपा सब अनुभव कर सेदिन आमर ये वर्ष वार्षिक उत्सव भाव विनिमय गज हो कहले आउ किए भाव विनिमय कहना चाहते कहतु मत से बहुत कहना इच्छा होता कि मुझे केमती आसिक प्रथम संघ जॉइन करी मत सेयार करने बहुत इच्छा होता कि साहस कर पारे कहवाई आज मुझे सेयार कर मत मोर बाहागर पर मत माँ गोटे ठाकुर विग्रह आउ गुरु गीता देते मत कहले सब ठाकुर माता प्राणी चेन्नई आसलु कहले तू ठाकुर विग्रह सब फुलटे दबु आ गुरु गीता सबुदिन पढ़ू तेणु मुझे मैंने ठाकुर पूजा करे गुरु गीता गोटे गोटे पेज पढ़े तेणु मोर से सब डेली ये करी आउ बाहर आगुटा सेमती आउ जस्ट मांस आसन मंदिर जाए जस्ट से एनुअल डे रे आनंद सभा जाए आ ना भोग खाया जस्ट पूर्वर प्रसाद पूर्वर जा पहुंचे एत ठाकुर बही ठाकुर बही पढ़ी ठाकुर जीवन पढ़ी कि किसी भी संघ गोटे मानने किसी मेम्बर ना किसी भी सेमती ହେଇନଥିଲି। ତାପରେ ଏଠି ଆସିବା ପରେ ଥରେ ଶିବାନୀ ଭାଗବତ ଦେଖା ହେଲା, ସିଏ ତାଙ୍କ ଘରୁ ଡାକିଲେ, ଆଉ ଦେଖିଲି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ରଖିଛନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କ ଘରେ। ଦେଖିକି ମୁଁ କହିଲି ଆମ ବାବା ବି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ, ଆମେ ବି ଯାଉ ବାଲେଶ୍ୱର ଆସନ ମନ୍ଦିରକୁ, ଆମ ବାବା ମାନେ ସେଠି ପୂଜା କରନ୍ତି। ତାପରେ ସିଏ ମତେ କହିଲେ ଏଇଠି ସଂଘ ଆରମ୍ଭ ହବ, ଭାଇ କାନ ଭାଇ ଭିତରେ ମାଙ୍କ ସହିତ କେମିତି ଯାହା ହଉ ଇଏ କରିଥିଲେ। ମତେ କହିଲେ ତମେ ଜଏନ୍ କରିବ। ମୁଁ ସେତେବେଳେ କିଛି ଜାଣିନଥାଏ। ମୁଁ କହିଲି ହଁ କହୁଛୁ, ମୁଁ ସେତେବେଳେ ଜଏନ୍ କରିବି। ବୋଧେ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ଇଚ୍ଛାରୁ, ତେଣୁ କେମିତି ବୋଧେ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ମତେ ଲାଗେ, ସବୁବେଳେ ଫିଲ୍ କରେ ବୋଧେ ବାହାରକୁ ପଳେଇ ଆସିଲି ବୋଲି। ମା କହିଥିଲେ ତ ସବୁବେଳେ ମାନେ ବାବା ମା ପାଖରେ ଠାକୁର ସବୁବେଳେ ଯେମିତି ପାଖରେ ରହିବେ ବୋଲି ଯେମିତି ଫିଲ୍ ହୁଏ, ଯେମିତି ଯେ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ପୁରା ଦାୟିତ୍ୱ ଦେଇଥିଲେ, ମାନେ ଦେଇଛି ମା ମତେ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ଏଇଟା ଦେଇଥିଲେ। ତେଣୁ ମୁଁ ମାନେ ଆସିକି ତାପରେ ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ସଂଘରେ ମେମ୍ବର ଜଏନ୍ କଲି, ମେମ୍ବର ହେଲି। ତେଣୁ ମୁଁ କିଛି ବି ମାନେ ନା ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ସେଠି ଜଷ୍ଟ ସେଠି କରୁଥିଲି। ଏବେ ସେଇଠୁ ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ମାନେ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ବିଷୟରେ ଜାଣିଲି। ବହି, ତାପରେ ବହି ଆଉ ଟିକେ ବେଶୀ ବହି ଆଣିକି ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ଯାଏ ବହି ଆଣିକି ପଢାପଢି କଲି ଏମିତି। ତେଣୁ ସେତେବେଳେ ଥିଲେ ଯେ ଯେମିତି ସବୁ ଠାକୁର ମାନେ ପୁରା ପାଖରେ ଯେମିତି ମା ଯେମିତି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ଦାୟିତ୍ୱ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି ମୋର। ଆଉ ଠାକୁର ମୋ ସବୁବେଳେ ମତେ ଡେ ଟୁ ଡେ ଲାଇଫ ରେ ସବୁବେଳେ ମତେ ସବୁ ଇଏରେ ମୋର ପାଖେ ରହି ଆଉ ମୋର ପ୍ରତି ପଦକ୍ଷେପରେ ଆମର ସହାୟତା କରୁଛନ୍ତି। ଆଉ କଣ କହିବି, ଆଜି ଏତିକି କହି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ଚରଣରେ ମୁଁ ଶତକୋଟି ପ୍ରଣାମ ଜଣାଉଛି ଏବଂ ତାଙ୍କ କୃପା ଭିକ୍ଷା କରୁଛି। ସେ ଯେମିତି ଆମର ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କର ସହାୟ ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ। ତୁମରି ପୂଜାର ଗୁରୁ ଭାର ମତେ ଦେଇ ଅଛ ଦୟା ବହି, ରହି ପାଶେ ମୋର ଦିଅ ବତାଇ ପଥ କାହିଁ ନ ହରାଇ। ଜୟଗୁରୁ।
ଜୟଗୁରୁ। ଆଜି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ କୃପାରୁ ଆଜି ସେବା ପୂଜା ପାଳି ମିଳିଛି, ଆଉ ଭାବ ବିନିମୟ କରିବାର ଚାନ୍ସ ମିଳିଛି। ତ ମୁଁ ମାନେ ବାର୍ଷିକ ଉତ୍ସବରେ ଆସିବାର ଥିଲା, କିନ୍ତୁ ଆମେ ଆସିପାରୁନଥିଲୁ। ତ ମନଟା ବହୁତ ଦୁଃଖ ଲାଗିଲା କି ମୁଁ ପାଳିରେ ଇଚ୍ଛା ହୁଏ ଆଟଲିଷ୍ଟ ଟିକେ ଯାଇକି ଆଶ୍ରମ ଯାଏ। ତାପରେ ମୁଁ ମାନେ ଆସି ତ ପାରିଲୁନି, ବହୁତ ମନ କଷ୍ଟ ହେଲା ବହୁତ କି ମୁଁ ଯାଇପାରିଲିନି, ସେମିତି ଲାଗିଲା। ତ ତାପରେ ମୁଁ ପାଳି ତ ନେଇଥିଲି, ମାନେ ନେଇଥିଲି ମାର୍ଚ୍ଚ ମାସରେ। ତାପରେ ମୁଁ ଦେଖିଲି କି ପୁଅର ସ୍କୁଲ ଛୁଟି ଅଛି ଏଇ ୱିକରେ। ମୁଁ କହିଲି ନାଇଁ, ତ ଏଇଟା ଯାଇ ହବ ମାନେ ଏଇ ପାଳିଟା। ତ ସେ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ କୃପା ନହେଲେ କିଛି ହେଇପାରିବନି। ମୁଁ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ଜଣେ ଠାକୁର କେମିତି ମୋତେ ପାଳିଟା ମିଳିଯାଉ ଏଇ ଦିନରେ, ତ ମୁଁ ଆସିପାରିବି ଆଶ୍ରମ। ତ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ କୃପା ତ ନିଶ୍ଚୟ ଅଛି, ମୁଁ ଆସିପାରୁଛି ଯେ ଆଶ୍ରମ ଆସିଲା ଗୋଟେ ଅଲଗା ଏକ୍ସପିରିଏନ୍ସ। ମାନେ କେତେ ଜିନିଷ ଶିଖିବାକୁ ମାନେ ମିଳେ, କିଛି ସେବା କରିବାକୁ ମିଳେ, ଭଲ ଲାଗେ। ଘରେ ଯାହା କଲେ ବି ସେଇଟା ଏତେ ମାନେ ଇଏ ଲାଗିପାରେନି କେବେ ବି। ତ ସେଇଟା ମତେ ମାନେ ବହୁତ ଭଲ ଲାଗୁଛି କି ଆଜି ଆସିପାରୁଛୁ ଏଠି। ତ ସେୟା ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ମାନେ ସବୁବେଳେ କୃପା ମାନେ ରହୁ, କେମିତି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ସେବା ପୂଜା କରିପାରୁ ଆମେ ସବୁବେଳେ। ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ଜଣେଇବି, ଠାକୁର ଯେମିତି ପୁଅ କେମିତି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ଆଦର୍ଶରେ ଅନୁପ୍ରାଣିତ ହଉ ସେ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷରେ। ମାନେ ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ କହୁଛୁ କି ଏଇଟା ତୁ କରୁଛୁ, ଆମେ ତ ଗାଳି ଦଉଛୁ, ସେ ଆମକୁ କହୁଛି ଦିସ୍ ଠାକୁର's house, he cannot tell me anything, so this is his house, so who are you? ତ ସେଇଟା ତାର ସେ ଫିଲିଂଟା ଅଛି କି ହଁ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ଘର। ତ ସେଇଟା ତ ରହୁ ସବୁବେଳେ। ସେ କେମିତି ବଡ ହେଲେ ମାନେ ସବୁ ମାନେ କୀର୍ତ୍ତନ ବସନ୍ତି, କୀର୍ତ୍ତନଙ୍କ ଇଏ ହୁଏ, ମତେ ଲାଗେ କି ମାନେ କିଏ ସଲ୍ଲୁ କେବେ ସେ ଜଏନ୍ କରିପାରିବ, ଭଲ ଲାଗିବ କି ଜାଣିପାରିବ କ'ଣ ସେଭଳିଆ। ଏ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ମାଗିବି, ଠାକୁର ଏମିତି ଆମକୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଆଶ୍ରୟ ରଖିଥାନ୍ତି ଠାକୁର, ସବୁବେଳେ ଠାକୁର ଏତିକି ରହିବି ଠାକୁର। ଜୟଗୁରୁ। ଜୟଗୁରୁ। ପ୍ରଥମ ଅଧିବେଶନ ଏଇଠି ଶେଷ ହେବାକୁ ଯାଉଛି, ତ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଶ୍ରୀ ଶ୍ରୀ ଠାକୁର ମହାରାଜକୁ ମଧ୍ୟାହ୍ନ ଭୋଗ ପାଇଁ ନିମନ୍ତ୍ରଣ କରୁଅଛି, ଓ ସୋ ମା ଭାଇ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ନିମନ୍ତ୍ରଣ କରୁଛି ପ୍ରସାଦ ସେବନ ପାଇଁ। ଆଉ ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟା ପୂଜା କହିଲେ ଆଉ ଆଜି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟା ପୂଜା ପାଇଁ କେତେ 6:30 ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟା ପୂଜା ପାଇଁ 6:30 ପାଇଁ ନିମନ୍ତ୍ରଣ କରୁଛି ଠାକୁର। ଜୟଗୁରୁ।
ଜୟଗୁରୁ। ଶ୍ରୀଜା ମା, ଆରାଧନା ମା ଆଉ ମୋର ପାଳି ଅଛି। ଆରାଧନା ମା ଆପଣ ନିମନ୍ତ୍ରଣ କରିବେ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ଆଉ ସଂଘ ଭାଇ ଓ ମା ମାନଙ୍କୁ। ଶ୍ରୀଜାଟି କରିଦୁ ଆଜ୍ଞା। ଆଜ୍ଞା, ଆଉ ଶ୍ରୀଜାକୁ କରିନି, ସରି। ଆରାଧନା ମା ଆପଣ କରିବେ ଶ୍ରୀଜା ପରେ। ଜୟଗୁରୁ।
ମୋର ଆସନ୍ତା ସଣ୍ଡେ ସଂଘ ପୂଜା ପାଳି ଅଛି। So ମୁଁ ଶ୍ରୀ ଶ୍ରୀ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ଆଉ ଭାଇ ମା and young aspirants ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆସନ୍ତା ସଂଘ ପୂଜା ପାଇଁ ନିମନ୍ତ୍ରଣ କରୁଛି।
श्रीजामा सॉरी मतलब
जय गुरु आसंता फेब्रुआरी 20 तारिख दिन संघ पूजा मु फिर ठाकुर महाराज समस्त भाई माँ यंगर स्टूडेंट को मोर प्रिया श्रीजा और विजय भाई तरफ से पूजा निमंत्रण जनाऊँ समस्त को पूजा जॉइन करी पूजा को सफल मंडित करने निमंत्रण जनाऊँ। जय गुरु।
जय गुरु।
जय गुरु। आज सिमरन अंजनमा और मोर सेवा पूजा पड़ी से पूजा होइथिबा त्रुटि माँ भाई कहाँ त्रुटि ठाकुर से क्षमा कर ठाकुर। जय गुरु।
जय गुरु। देवेरा दुर्लभता चरण जुगला देवेरा दुर्लभता चरण जुगला दिए पूजीबा संबला दिए पूजीबानी संबला देह धन जाना तुम्हारी सकला देह धन जाना तुम्हारी सकला ग्रहण करिया जीवन सफल ग्रहण करिया जीवन सफल चराचर विश्व सकलित मारे चराचर विश्व सकलित कि धन तुम्हारे दिव किया छे आमार देव कि धन तुम्हारे दिव किया छे तुम आमार कि दिए पूजिब তোমায় দিনহীন আমি কি দিয়ে पूजिब তোমায় দিনহীন আমি যে ধনে पूजिब তোমায় সেই ধন তুমি যে ধনে पूजिब তোমায় সেই ধন তুমি আর কিছু নাই চাই এই নিবেদন আর কিছু নাই চাই এই নিবেদন আর কিছু নাই চাই এই নিবেদন জন্মে জন্মে রূপে দাও দর্শন দেব জন্মে জন্মে এই রূপে দাও দর্শন জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় জয় গুরু 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 জয় গুরু
জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয়
jai jai guru jai guru jai guru 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 jai Jai Guru, 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 Jai 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 Guru, Ananda Bhagwan Krishna Maharaj Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru.
ଜୟଗୁରୁ ଖାଲି ଗୋଟେ ଯାହା କଥା ଜଲ୍ଦି କହିଦେଉଛି ଦେଇ ତ ହେଇଗଲାଣି ଯେ ଆମର ପରିଚାଳନା କମିଟି ଡିସିସନ ନେଇଛନ୍ତି ଗୋଟେ ଯେ ନାରାୟଣ ସେବାକୁ ଏଠି ମଧ୍ୟ ଆମେ କରିବା ୟୁଏସ୍ରେ କାହିଁକିନା ଆମେ ଏଠି କେମିତି ମାନେ ଲୋକଙ୍କର ଦୃଷ୍ଟି ଆକର୍ଷଣ କରିବା ଯାହାଫଳରେ କି ଆମର ଜ୍ଞାନ ଭାଇ ତାକୁ କହୁଥିଲେ ଯେ ଆମର ଯୋଉ ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ସେସନଟା ଇଂଲିଶ କରାହେଲା ତାର ମୂଳ କାରଣ ହେଲା ଯେ ସର୍ତ୍ତ ଭାଇ ସେଥିରେ କହିଥିଲେ ଯେ କେମିତି ଅନ୍ୟମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆଟ୍ରାକ୍ଟ କରିବା ତେଣୁ ଯଦି ଆମେ ଏଠି କିଛି ନ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ନିଜ ନିଜ ଭିତରେ ସୀମାବଦ୍ଧ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି ତାହେଲେ ଲୋକ ଆମକୁ ଜାଣିବେ ନାହିଁ ଲୋକ ଜଏନ୍ କରିବେ ନାହିଁ ତେଣୁ ତାର ଗୋଟିଏ ଉପାୟ ହେଲା ଗୋଟିଏ ୱାନ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଦ ୱେ ଯଦି ଆମେ କେମିତି ମାନେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ସ୍ଥାନରେ ନାରାୟଣ ସେବା କରିବା ସୋ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ପିପୁଲ୍ ୱିଲ୍ କମ୍ ଟୁ ନୋ ଆବାଉଟ୍ ଅସ୍ ତେଣୁ ସେକୁ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ ମାନେ